I know you're not a huge movie guy.
I'm lost.
Everything else is just kind of filler. Okay, so we're doing spoilers.
What is his story?
I don't know how to end this.
Deal with it.
Hello and welcome to Just Go With It, where the two co-hosts constantly talk about the intricacies of children's media and dark jokes. My name is Ben and my co-host Jared. Jared, what are we watching this time?
That's a great question. So we're watching something that's going to really kind of throw you off, and we haven't watched something like this before, but in preparation of the Bob Marley movie that's coming out in a month,
Okay.
we're going to watch something called Bohemian Rhapsody, which is a movie about the band Queen.
Okay.
And I know you're like not huge into music or anything like that.
So let me get this straight. I'm not a movie guy. I'm definitely not a music guy.
Uh-huh. So we're going to watch a movie that combines both of those.
Yeah. Okay. Don't blame me if I fall asleep.
This was one of my favorite movies from 2018. So
okay.
I'm really excited to see what you think. But this movie was kind of what got these kind of movies popular. Like, there are other ones now. There was an Elton John one after this. There was an Elvis one. And like now they're coming out with a Bob Marley one in February, which looks really good. But yeah, I'm really excited to see what you think of this.
Alrighty, well, guess here we go. Okay, so we just got finished watching Bohemian Rhapsody, the movie, and my thoughts are very complicated on this movie.
Oh.
Very.
Okay.
Because it's not my kind of movie. That's the thing.
No, I know.
I'm for everybody who's listening to this, I am not a music person. And I also don't really watch a lot of movies. So I don't know celebrities. I don't know music. I don't know nothing. This is going to sound stupid. This is more of a comment about the band Queen than about the movie. But the fact that I recognized pretty much every single one of those songs.
Yes!
I was surprised.
Ah! I love it.
And I am not a music person. I really am not. But I think that drives home the point just how popular the band they were. Like, for real. So
that makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I like going through before we started, I knew you knew Bohemian Rhapsody because literally everyone knows that song.
Mm-hmm,
but I was like, I wonder if he'll remember, like, oh, Another One Bites the Dust, or We Will Rock You, We Are the Champions. Like, I wonder if he'll remember that those are by Queen. Like,
no, because I listen to songs and I'm just like, I don't care who the artist is. It's kind of funky. I don't pay attention to the people. I just like the music, I guess.
Yeah. But the fact that, like, all of those are by the same band and, like, this all originates with their story, I feel like it makes it worth a 2-hour movie, makes it worth, like, the telling of their story. And the fact that, like, Freddie Mercury died when he was only 45 years old, and, like, there's so much that happened before that. I feel like it's worth a watch, I really do feel like this movie is not only just if you like the band Queen or if you just like good movies. I feel like, I don't know. I really enjoy this whole movie as a whole because it's like, it's not a musical, but it's just a really solid movie about a really good band,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I'm curious, like, out of everything that happened in the movie, like, what your overall thoughts were. Like, because I know before you were like, oh, I'm going to be so bored, or I don't know if I'm going to be able to make it through it. I don't know, like, did you feel bored during it? Were you entertained, or how did you feel?
I see, again, this is why it's so complicated for me, because it's not my kind of movie. But I didn't hate it. I know that sounds kind of like, oh, he didn't care for it that much. But for me, that's saying a lot, because I, again, am not a music person. And the fact that me not being a music person was like, I'm kind of getting into this. That's saying something. Like, for real.
Yeah.
Like, it felt like a real roller coaster ride. And what I mean is, like, at the beginning, there are some fun ups and downs, but then you get to the big hill. And that big hill is like the kind of the more drama that happens towards the middle of the movie, and like his life, about all of his, you know, his antics with his sexuality and all that sort of stuff. And then like you're going up this hill and you're feeling all this anxiety and all this like tension, and you get to the top and you're like freaking out because you're like, there's just release and you don't know where it's going to come from. Then we get to the end of the movie where it's like he finally gets back the band and they perform this amazing performance. And it's like that downhill of the roller coaster. It's like you just start screaming with joy. I literally, during the movie, closed my eyes at one point and put my hands up and started waving my arms in the air, opened my eyes and looked at the screen, and the audience do the same thing on the screen. Like, I
love that.
Yeah, I was like, what the heck? I'm like, how is this happening? And it's like, despite the man's life alone, I mean, his life is his own thing, his own business. People can critique it however they want, but his talent was ridiculous.
Yes, I completely agree. And that makes me so happy to hear that like you got that much into it, because like as we were going into it, like after I told you what movie we were watching, I was like, this is really taking a chance. It's like I was kind of worried there for like the first like 20 minutes of us watching it. I was like, is Ben just gonna hate this? Is he gonna like, you know, want to like cancel the channel? Like, is he not gonna let me choose the movies anymore? Like, what's gonna happen? But I was like, you know what? No, I'm just gonna wholeheartedly go into it. I was like, I know this is a good movie. Like, no matter what my biases of like liking the band, like if it was a bad movie, I wouldn't suggest it. So because I chose it for a reason. I know the Bob Marley movie's coming out, and like I know that's gonna be kind of big. So I was like, okay, let's go back to where it started. I know this is a great movie. I know I love it. And no matter what, like, you know, I feel like Ben might appreciate something out of it. And
yeah,
I feel like that's what happened. So I'm really happy.
Oh, yeah. So I don't even know what to say about this movie, because it's the fact that it was able to make me forget that the fact that it's making me think about the man's life and not about the fact that this is a movie probably speaks alone about how good the movie was.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I'm sitting here going,
you know, it stayed. I was just gonna say it stayed very truthful to the story. Like I've read some interviews and stuff afterwards, and like pretty much everything that happened in the movie was dead on, like what actually happened in real life.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I don't know, like that makes it so much more impactful for me, you know?
Yeah, it speaks volumes that the whole first part of this little review here, I'm talking all about the band and not even the movie. That describes how honestly great this movie is, but at the same time, how great the band and themselves are. How great of performers they were. And this movie just really like highlighted that. Was like, dang, there are some really talented people out there. Yeah,
absolutely. Out of the songs in the movie, do you have a standout that like really hit you?
I don't know. Favorite? I mean, the title of the movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, but at the same time, they were all good. Like I can't pick one. I mean, I don't know. I can't pick one. Do you have one?
I agree. Like you said, the title of the movie, Bohemian Rhapsody, it's just like, after this movie, that song took on such a bigger meaning for me. And it just like, I don't know, it stands out so much more. But besides that, like Another One Bites the Dust, the story that goes into that one, just how they're like, oh, we don't want to do disco. We don't want to do anything that's like played in clubs. And then the guy, John, I think his name was John, just starts playing the riff on the bass. And they're like, oh, wait, that's actually pretty sick. Like, let's actually do that.
Or We Will Rock You, where they just like, we go and engage the audience. And I was like, oh, dang. Like,
yeah,
it was pretty
and it
dope.
makes sense, like, how they would come up with that. Like, okay, like, everybody's singing back to us. Let's do something that the audience can perform. Or it's like, oh, everybody's going to clubs now. Let's do something that can be played in the clubs. Like, they kept moving with the times. They didn't stay in one spot, you know? And I really appreciate that.
Yeah, and this is kind of weird, but I liked how it was almost themed around family, even though it's a little cheesy. But it just, it just highlights how when people work well together, like there's some sort of I don't know, I guess you could say some sort of magic that's hard to recreate anywhere. Like, he literally tried to recreate it and it didn't quite work for him. So, like,
Yeah.
you know, it was, I don't know, it was beautiful in that way. And obviously, I told you, I was like, if you put this in front of, like, somebody who knew nothing about Freddie Mercury, who didn't know anything about Queen, who lived in some other country or something, and you said, here, watch this, and then you told them afterwards, oh yeah, this is based off of like a real person, these are like based off real events, they would not believe you. They would think this was straight up just a movie. I mean, it is, but still, like, it's obviously not a documentary, but yeah, it's still like, whoa.
Yeah, no, I agree. All right, I'm so curious to hear what your rating would be for this movie.
Okay, my rating, keep in mind, this movie, I don't think I'd watch it again, but I don't regret watching it. It's not a movie for me, but the fact that, again, I got so much out of it, despite me not being a music person, speaks volumes about it. 10 out of 10. It just is.
Oh my God!
It is. Again, not my kind of movie, but I respect it, like, to the infinity and beyond. I respect this movie like nothing else. It had me going, even though I'm not that kind of person. Like, I was...
Oh my God!
It was just a solid, good movie. Like, there's nothing, no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It just was.
I completely agree. Like, I don't know. Like, I've seen this, like, I saw it when it came out in theaters, and my entire family, like, loved it. Because, you know, this is what my parents raised me on. This is the kind of music that they put me on. And, you know, that my parents never actually went and saw Queen live, but they went and saw, like, every other band around then, you know? But just growing up and listening to this, and then, like, seeing it live, and seeing it, like, finding out the whole story without knowing it, and then doing research afterwards and finding out that, like, oh, this is completely accurate, made me absolutely obsessed with this.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was going to say, like, I completely agree. For me, I've seen it a few times. I would totally give it a 10 out of 10 because, like, it's not a musical or anything, but it has the scale of a musical, but just being a movie about a band, like a real band. And then you can go back and listen to the songs and be like, oh my gosh, it's like, get that experience, you know?
I love the timing of the songs, how they would start playing them during key events in his life. And it was like, that fits perfectly.
Yeah.
Like how he really sang about his life. Like, it was wild.
Oh my gosh. I'm so happy. Like, this could not have turned out better for me.
I mean, you got me, man. Like, again, this is not a movie I would think I'd ever watch again, but I respect it like crazy. It was good.
Woo!
I really liked how they didn't, like, force, like, things down your throat. They were just like, here's what happened. Interpret it how you want. They didn't force anybody's certain perspective. They didn't, like, it just felt like open to interpretation. Here's what happened. You'll figure it out yourself,
Yeah, and I really appreciate, too, that they didn't, like, take his lifestyle and be like, oh, look, this is what you have to respect, or this is what you have to, like, you have to accept this in your life. Like, they took it and were like, look, this is the true story. This is what happened. And you decide what you want to get from that. They weren't like, oh, you have to accept this. You have to, like, they showed the positives and negatives of every choice he made.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was like, and I really appreciate that,
Oh yeah. It was, I don't know. I respected the writers for going that way, because honestly, with a movie that has that's a weird way of saying it, but a movie that has a quote unquote historical value to it, you kind of have to do it that way, That's the way to do it, because I mean, this was a real person with a real life. It's not about pushing a certain objective or ideals or anything like that. It's just, this is what happened. He's a person. He is a person, an actual individual. And that's what I liked about it.
Yeah, I completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, I'm very excited to show you whatever we watch next, I don't know what yet, but we'll watch something because we've been on a pretty good track record so far.
Well, you know what, dude? I don't know what you're going to show me, but I guess I'll just go with it.